It's not going to get your heart rate up consistently for long enough to be considered, heart healthy. Usually their cardiovascular function declines at that time. They're getting heavier. So when they do that type of HIIT training in a calorie surplus, it only helps with the intensity of their workouts.
In terms of HIIT, are you a fan of it?
In a calorie surplus.
Okay.
Yeah. But the one thing, the reason why I'm a fan of that, when people are trying to put on muscle, put on weight, is that usually their cardiovascular function declines at that time. They're getting heavier. They get a little bit lazier sometimes and just focus all on weight training. And they think, okay, if I do any form of cardio now, that's going to be counterintuitive to my goal. I'm trying to retain all these calories. And it isn't always the fact. And they're not able to keep up the intensity of their workouts because they've become so unfit and not cardiovascular functional. So when they do that type of HIIT training in a calorie surplus, it only helps with the intensity of their workouts, their cardiovascular fitness, so they can recover from their workouts so much better as well.
Conversely, if someone's lifting weights 6 times a week, but maintaining a short duration between sets, etc., does that count as enough cardio? Like on the 7th day, if they don't do anything?
No, I wouldn't say it's enough for their cardio aspect. You'll feel more of a cardio workout, maybe doing legs, but that's pretty much it. It's not going to get your heart rate up consistently for long enough to be considered, heart healthy.
The biology behind doing cardio in the first place is to give your heart a workout.
Yeah, for sure.
Because even that's a muscle.
Yeah. And it helps with the recovery. If you've got a better blood flow throughout your body, which is going to transport nutrients to localized areas that you're going to train, then you recover so much better. I know if I do cardio, when I'm trying to build muscle, I recover so much better and I can train more intensely and more frequently.
Most cricketers, I think all the cricketers are on creatine and they are on it for like a month and off it for a month.
Yeah.
That's how athletes are administered creatine. We're not athletes, as in when we're living in the city. Though I'm very active, I don't have an athlete's lifestyle. How much should an average urban human be consuming creatine? Should everyone be on creatine? For me, it's made a world of a difference to how much weight I can lift and the way I look. Like all my girlfriends have always noticed when I've been on creatine and when I've not. And I'd say the same for my team. So it's been the one supplement that I've really benefited from over years of using it. And I use it carefully. I drink a lot of water. I go off it. But Kris Gethin, what's the 101?
Yeah, for the average person that's on the street, they probably don't need it. But the active individual that's trying to progress and maybe hit personal bests or play sports at a decent level, yeah, take creatine. Now, you're going to get the very few that aren't receptors to creatine. And it all depends on a different form of creatine that you take as well. So with a monohydrate, sometimes, which is the most studied form and the most studied amino acid and supplement out of all supplements out there, not only for performance, but purity and safety as well. So anyone that says creatine is not safe, it is the most studied supplement for safety as well. It's a safe product.
I think the argument again is something related to water.
Yeah, hydration. If people aren't hydrated because it pulls fluid into the cell of that creatine and into the muscle, then yeah, you're going to be dehydrated. So you'll need to drink more water when you're taking creatine, no doubt. Now, some people will take creatine monohydrate and they are not receptors to it. Sometimes it gives them stomach upset because the particle size just cannot absorb through the stomach wall lining. So then you can take another form of creatine, which is called HCl, which is creatine hydrochloride, which is a lot easier. So it's a more concentrated form of monohydrate, which is a lot easier for your body to absorb. So if you're taking a creatine monohydrate, you take 20 grams per day.
Is there any downside to having the hydrolyzed creatine?
No.
So why doesn't everyone take it?
Some people respond better to creatine monohydrate. Some people respond better to creatine hydrochloride.
Gotcha.
Everyone's different. Now, with the creatine monohydrate, the standard dose is usually about 20 grams a day. So you'd have a 5 grams before your workout, 5 grams after your workout, then another 10 grams throughout the day. I usually just put it in my gallon jug and drink it throughout the day. It's a lot easier and convenient. And then when a hydrochloride, it's usually based on that person's body weight, but it's usually, God, 6 grams, say, maybe in total throughout the day. And that's why you'll find it a lot in like pre-workouts or post-workouts, because it's much more condensed and you don't have to have so much in a scoop at that time. But I think, creatine is obviously found naturally in a lot of protein sources like meat products and stuff like that. This is just a more convenient way and a more condensed way for you to get it in. So what I always explain to people when they say, well, what does creatine do for me? It helps produce more ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is the energy source utilized in more explosive movements like sprinting, powerlifting, or bodybuilding, okay? And let's say if you're stuck, you've hit a plateau, you can only get 11 reps or maybe 10 repetitions out. It could potentially help you get that 11th rep out or that 13th rep out, okay? That one more repetition that you usually stop short of.
Which matters in the long term because it compounds.
For sure, because it's failure. When you're failing, when you're really struggling on that last rep, that's where usually your success is found. Let's say if you're trying to get to 12 repetitions, the first 10 is a waste of time, but you need to do them to get to your failure point. So if you're doing your 10 reps just to get to your 12, but you can do 13, that one makes a huge difference.
And can you be on creatine throughout the year?
You can, but some people aren't always as responsive when they do creatine throughout the year. So it's usually, you mentioned, I think 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off was suggested. I usually go for 8 weeks on and 4 weeks off.
I usually finish my entire bottle and then take like a month off.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah. And you do see a visual difference in terms of, because your muscles are letting go of the water.
The fluid, yeah.
So you do look a little leaner.
Yeah.
You push a little less in the gym. But when you're back on it, you have a slightly higher jump than the previous time if you're serious about your training.
Yeah, and having a little bit of that extra fluid retention can help with your joints and the connective tissue surrounding your joints as well. So you can push a little more and not feel as much strain on your joints. And much like, having salt in your diet. If you're getting a good salt in there, I believe salt is like the mineral version of creatine, where you get a little bit more fluid retention. You're able to push so much more and feel stronger, especially in a humid climates, in lots of parts of India where you're sweating a lot. You need to have that salt in your diet.
Maybe it's the same logic as when you eat a lot of shit, you become a lot stronger.
Yeah, possibly. I'm not saying that I'm going to be an advocate of that, though. Just have the salt.
Okay.